All right, folks, welcome in. We are live on this Thursday evening, a brand new live edition of the Babin on the Bayou show on this fine Thursday evening, Thursday, March 5th, 2026. Hope you and your family are all doing well. Hope you are having a good Thursday on this Thursday night. It is 8 p.m. and excited for the show today, excited for the show tonight. Excuse me. We got a guest who I'm about to introduce. Welcome in, as always, to the Babin on the Bayou show. Remember, daily, we do have a daily title sponsor, our friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling, the best AC business around today. They are, remember that number, 22546 Bayou, 22546 Bayou, BAYU today. Call that number to get your free, absolutely free AC system clean and check for every AC system in your home, courtesy of our friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling. So we do have a guest on the show who I'm really excited to bring on. We're going to introduce him soon. I did want to make one comment because we're going to talk about LSU football tonight. That's going to be the conversation tonight, talking about spring football, because spring practice is March 24th. It's only a few weeks away. It's later this month. LSU baseball, I want to make one comment. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, 5 p.m. We'll do a LSU baseball pregame and a weekend preview. We'll do all of that tomorrow. But I do want to say, for me, I think the thing with it right now for me is that it's time for the national champion veteran leaders of this team to speak up, because I'm not seeing passion. I'm not seeing energy. I'm not seeing fight. I'm not seeing determination from your leaders who won you a national championship, your eighth national championship last year. I don't know who the vocal leader is right now. I do not know who the vocal leader is right now. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll go in depth tomorrow with our baseball preview show, previewing the weekend. Thank you guys for being in the chat. AP, Paul, Jarrett. Thank all of you folks for being in the chat right now. But now I am super excited to bring on our guest, Auston Taylor, coming in from the host of the Fourth and Go podcast. Really excited to have Auston on the show tonight. How are you doing, brother?
What up, everybody? I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm excited to have you on the show tonight, brother. Again, Auston Taylor, the host of the Fourth and Go podcast. Go check him out. We're going to have a discussion surrounding LSU football tonight. You know, spring practice coming up in just a couple weeks. And there's so much hype and positivity really around this LSU football program right now. And I'm excited to talk about it, excited to get into it. Auston, the thing for me right now is
What's up?
that you obviously have Lane Kiffin. You're bringing in Lane Kiffin, and he did great things at Ole Miss, the best coach in Ole Miss history. I mean, 6 seasons, 4 10-win seasons led them to, they got to the playoff with the roster and the staff that he built, whether or not, Ole Miss fans want to admit that or not. That is the facts of what indeed happened. And you had a bad offense. You had a terrible offense in 2025 and Brian Kelly last year as the head coach of the program. You did not score more than 25 points in a single game against one FBS school all season. And the perfect medicine for that problem is Lane Kiffin. You're talking about a guy who in 2024 and 2025, in his last 2 seasons in Oxford, Ole Miss finished the season with the most total offensive yards, leading the SEC in total offensive yards in Lane Kiffin's past 2 seasons. So I'm really excited for Lane Kiffin to be here. I'm really excited for what he's going to do with this offense, all the weapons that you brought in out of the transfer portal. But, brother, I want to give the floor to you, and I want you to give me, what are you most excited about? We'll start general. What are you most excited about heading into this season?
I think balance and depth. I think if there's two things I can talk about without talking specifically about players and dropping names, right? Balance and depth. The entire time that we had BK in Baton Rouge, you saw it was one sided either one way or the other way, right? And as every LSU fan, and I'm sure as you are doing on campus, banging our head up against the wall because, man, like, we can't get anything going on offense one year, we can't get anything going on defense the other years, right? So now we finally have a Blake Baker who should have had a top 15, top 10 defense, right? Had we had the offensive production that Lane Kiffin will bring in. So I think that's what I'm really excited about. If I don't talk about players and position groups, I think it's the balance. You're going to go score 30 points. You're going to hold teams to 7 points, right? Like in less than 10. So I'm so excited for that more than anything.
Yeah, I think, and folks, we're going to go about an hour, no more than an hour tonight. Thank you for AP. I see G Moose is in the chat. I see Paul is in the chat. I see
My
many
baby
people
brother's in there.
in the chat. Yeah, that's awesome too.
Man,
That's
yeah,
awesome
heck
too.
yeah.
Shout out to Austin,
What's up, Go?
baby brother. Thank you guys for being in the chat. Again, we're not going to cover. I don't think we'll get to every part of the roster tonight. But I
Right.
want to specifically lead off with the offense because I feel like
Mhm.
that is the side of the ball that needed the most work with
100%.
where you were last season. I mean, you were terrible as an offense last season, and I'm not going to get into why. I covered that on the show Tuesday. I said we're not going to talk about the past anymore. We're going to look towards the future. And
Oh.
specifically getting into what I'm excited about, Austin. I think I'm excited, first of all, with the quarterback room that you have.
Oh, yeah.
And it's crazy because you had no scholarship quarterback on your roster entering the transfer portal. And now you have three guys in Sam Levitt, who's going to be your QB1 in 2026. Now, he's not, as far as spring practice, he's not going to compete in everything like 11
No.
on 11s. He may compete in a couple 7 on 7s, but he's coming off that foot injury that ended his 2025 season at Arizona State. And then you have Hassan Longstreet from USC, and Landon Clark from Elon University, the FCS school, excuse me. And what I'm excited about with that is I think one of my big issues with 2025 offensively, and Garrett Nussmeier, you could say was hurt, you could say whatever. We don't have to get into that tonight, but I think you had a terrible offensive line. You had a really bad offensive line last year. And one, it didn't help that you had a statue in the pocket. It didn't help that you had a statue in the pocket, not a mobile quarterback. And I think all the guys you brought in are dual threats. You talk about Sam Levitt has rushed for over 700 rushing yards in the past 2 seasons at ASU, led them to a Big 12 title and a CFP playoff appearance in 2024. Landon Clark had over 2,900 yards at Elon in 2025. 600 of those came on the ground. And then Hassan Longstreet, he's obviously more of I want to say a raw product in that he didn't play a lot his freshman year at USC, but he's got a cannon for an arm, an absolute rocket for an arm, and he's a little bit mobile as well. So the
Yeah.
point with that is what I'm excited about is the guys you do have are dual threat quarterbacks. They're not, you're not running a read option or anything like that with Lane Kiffin. But if the play breaks down, they can use their legs to gain yards, and you didn't have that with Garrett Nussmeier, and that really hindered you because you could have used that with how bad your O-line was last year.
Yeah. And I think on that point as well, it just shows, I think even with Pop, like with Pop Houston being the prospect for 2026, I'm so extremely excited for what we'll have from a dual threat quarterback perspective, because even if Brian Kelly had a dual threat quarterback, I think we're a better team, right? Hate to say it because I think Nuss is extremely talented, and I don't really want to get into that because I had my own takes on him the last couple of days. But I think that we just have a lot. There's so much to be excited about. The mobility from the quarterback perspective is the number one thing. I think that's not necessarily missed because there's really big position groups we have to focus on that we won't really get to see until spring. And hopefully we get to see them and we're more engaged and more active than I think we all expect to be. But yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I think we have something that we haven't had in a really long time, and that's
Mhm.
mobility.
Yeah. And then we could get into we're going to get to the defense at some point, but I want to
Yeah, at some point.
prioritize offense in this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
You talk about not only with quarterback, but at wide receiver, there's going to be a lot of competition there because you brought in some absolute dudes out of the transfer portal. I believe you brought in like what 9 to 10 transfer portal wide receivers
I have it
in
pulled up. You're right.
January.
It's 9.
Like what?
Just 9 transfer portal receivers.
Yeah, like when you look at it, like my top guy that I like, and maybe not top guy because there's many guys we could go to here. I really like Jace Brown from Kansas State. Like I really like Jace Brown from Kansas State. I mean, he had like nearly 2,000 total yards in 3 seasons
Yeah.
at Kansas State. He's got great hands. He's great moving in space. And I was looking at it earlier today. He had a 40-yard play. He had 250-yard plays and a 76-yard play in 2025 at KSU. So you want to talk about explosives. You want to talk about the deep shot. I like Jace Brown. Trey Brown from Old Dominion is there as well. He averaged 20 yards per reception at Old
Yeah.
Dominion in 2025. Trey Wilson or Eugene Wilson at Florida did some great things. Jackson Harris is he's got some good size at 6'3", made some contested catches at Hawaii, had 12 touchdowns. There's many other guys. Winston Watkins is a guy Lane Kiffin trusted as a freshman at Ole Miss, and he's a
Yeah.
great route runner. So this receiver room is loaded, and I think that's
Oh,
where
it's
you're going to see
crazy.
a lot of competition in spring practice.
It's crazy. And even, I mean, it's funny to reference Ole Miss, how they came at one of our recruits from the Louisiana area, the wide receiver, and I don't know why I'm blanking his name right now because he's been you might remember who I'm talking about. I usually don't miss on high school recruits, but has been committed to us forever. And
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss was like trying to recruit him, and he's like, "No, I'm going to go and I'm going to sit and I'm going to do what all these receivers refuse to do." So it just shows that we're different, man. Like nine receivers did not push anybody away that we wanted to have, that Lane Kiffin wanted to have. I'll say this though, outside of and we'll get into like O line and things like that. One that I think we're not talking about enough.
Who?
Jack Grace out of Oregon,
Zach
tight end out of
Grace.
Oregon. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
He's just
He was yeah, he was a little bit more of a blocking type guy at
mhm,
Oregon, but you did bring
yeah.
him in. Obviously, the big name at tight end is 6'7" Trey Green. I mean, obviously
No
that's the big
question.
name
No
at tight end.
question.
Who you
No
want to talk
question.
about who I'm excited to see in Lane Kiffin's offense? Freaking Trey Green,
Me too,
baby.
bro. But I think
Stuff like
with
that.
Zach, I just think that thanks AP, man, I appreciate you because I don't know why I was blanking Jabari's name, but I just think like it's a very underrated recruit or transfer that we brought in just because of what he can do. He's such a gadget guy. Lane Kiffins loves those
Mhm.
versatile dudes. Trey Green, I mean, he's in a whole league on his own, period. Right? Like he's in a league on his own. That kid is gonna be crazy, right? But I think give me a second. My daughter's in the background being loud.
No, you're good. No, I think yeah, I think just with receiver, what you have is just you're loaded there, and you feel really good about what you have there at wide receiver. And we'll get into some comments here because I haven't really touched on it. AP talking about quarterback, the experience that you have at quarterback. I mean, yeah, this was another point I wanted to make, and I didn't get to make it, but I did not think that you would be able to get both Sam Levitt and Hassan Longstreet out of
Oh,
the
no way.
portal. I thought you were going to get one and not the other. So, like,
Yeah.
I was like, Longstreet's probably gone when you get Levitt because Longstreet left USC probably for playing time. And I was like, you're probably not going to get him because Sam Levitt is going to be the guy in 2026. People are talking about his Heisman potential. And then like when the news came out that you signed Longstreet too, I was like, holy crap. Like this is like what you signed that guy. You signed Landon Clark, who was one of the most prized quarterbacks coming out of the portal from the FCS level, which we've
100%.
seen what Lane Kiffin did when he got Trinidad Chambliss from that level. Look at how great Trinidad Chambliss was. I'm not saying Landon Clark's the next Trinidad Chambliss, but I'm saying we've seen what Lane Kiffin has been able to do in the past few years with quarterbacks from lower levels when you look at it. And that's just kind of what I'm excited about, and the buy-in that you see here, especially in the quarterback room. And let's see. I wanted to touch on running back real quick because one of
Yeah.
my main arguments in, unless you have anything else at receiver or quarterback.
Uh, no, I will say this because I just want to make a point. I think there's a lot of frustration from USC side with Hassan because his biggest issue was he wanted to play in the bowl game so that he could show them why he should have the chance to start, right? Um, it's funny. I have a close friend who's a big USC fan, and he was so pissed when Hassan Longstreet didn't leave campus and go on another visit because he's like, I swear, if he lands at LSU, I'm gonna hate you forever. I said, okay, that's fine. Wait till we catch up to y'all in baseball championships. That's
Yeah.
that's all I have left about the quarterback position. So
So at running back, and
yeah,
my biggest gripe under Brian Kelly, my
talk
biggest
to me.
pet peeve, my biggest gripe is the fact that outside of Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels was
Oh my god.
awesome, but
Yeah.
outside of Jaden Daniels, conventionally, you never had a good running game under Brian Kelly.
No.
Never had a good
No.
running game under Brian Kelly. I mean, it was atrocious outside of Jaden Daniels, but you're talking about conventionally handing the ball off to the running back and running the football. You were
Right.
never able to do it consistently. We've seen flashes from guys you have returning, like we saw flashes mainly in 2024 from Caden Durham. We definitely saw flashes from Harlan Berry in 2025, who I'm super excited about. But that's one of my big gripes is that we never had a running game under Brian Kelly. And it was so freaking frustrating. Every single year we couldn't run the football. And I'm like, look, I didn't like Les Miles. You could say Les was a little bit of an idiot. Like you could say that. But like I was raised as an LSU fan on Leonard Fournette, on like, Jeremy Hill, on like, all of those guys like that you bring in, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think was so underrated with what he did in
100%.
2019. Everybody talks about the receivers, everybody talks about Joe Burrow, and I understand that. Look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire and what he did in that Alabama game in Tuscaloosa in 2019. Like, I think
Man.
Clyde was very underrated, and he doesn't get enough respect for what he was able to do. But I was very frustrated with the running game all 4 seasons under Brian Kelly outside of Jane Daniels. Conventionally, you were never able to run the football. But when you look at the numbers in 6 seasons at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin finished every single year. His teams finished top 6 in the SEC in rushing offense. And
Yeah.
every year at Ole Miss, he never finished worse than top 6.
Right.
And that is what you're talking about. Because you can talk about the explosive plays, you can talk about the big plays. You've seen Quinshon Judkins, you've seen Kawan Lacey, you've seen all these running backs at Ole Miss. You've been
Right.
utilized under Lane Kiffin. Harlem Berry. What
Excuse
I
me.
love about Harlem Berry is obviously he's great. Like we saw a bunch of flashes from him in 2025. Him being used in the pass game now under Lane Kiffin, like being able to use him not just in the run game but in the pass game. That's going to be a big deal. What are you thinking, kind of about the running back room as a whole?
So I think that what I've seen Harlem doing this offseason is exceptional. That kid is locked the heck in. There is I think he's one of the proudest to wear those 3 letters across his chest on that roster, right? Like, everybody from Louisiana wants to play at LSU. They can say they don't, they do, right? But that kid has shown he is locked in all offseason. He's gained weight, he's put on muscle, right? Like, there is so much to be said about just his focus, and I think it's the pitch that Lane and them pitched out to him at what running back's going to look like under them, right? Um, but I will say this, I 100% agree, right? Like we are about to get into a place where Lane and them, where we don't have to look at it and say we have to be worried about running the ball 100 yards in a game.
Mhm.
How come we haven't had a 100-yard rusher in a game in so long? That's outrageous, right? How
Mm-hmm.
come Caden Durham seemingly he got hurt and couldn't hit a hole to save his life for the last 2 seasons, at least the correct one? Like, that is
Mm-hmm.
100% coaching, right? Inability to hold accountability, right? On Brian Kelly's part, especially to Frank. And I think I will say there's one running back that I think we brought in this transfer portal that I'm extremely excited about, and that's Dylan Jones. That
I think I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'll let you
You're
go on.
good. You're okay. No, no.
I was listening to AP talk about it. I think AP talked about Dylan Jones the other day because the
Dude,
1-2 punch is Barry and Durham. But I have heard a lot, not just from AP, but from all the stuff I've been reading. I've been hearing some things about Dylan Jones that I've been hearing some things about him. A lot of people seem to be like, watch out for Dylan Jones behind Barry and Durham as well.
yeah, and I would say behind Barry, I don't even know if Dylan Jones comes in healthy and he's running the rock like he was when he was at Wisconsin, there's one thing that Wisconsin does well, and that's running back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Harlan Berry, if he's not locked in this offseason, better watch out because that's something me and AP actually, I think on AP and I's first show ever, the first time we ever talked, him and I both highlighted Dylan Jones. Like that kid is going to be a monster. Um, and Paul's 100% right as well. Like if you go up to Paul's comment, Jaden Daniels is the reason why it looked like we could run the football for forever. We could not run the football. The player that transferred to what's the kid's name from Notre Dame that went to LSU and then went to Ole Miss? It's forgettable because he went to Ole Miss.
Diggs, isn't it
Yeah,
Diggs?
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
Logan Diggs, right?
I
So
think
Logan
so. I
Diggs,
know it's Diggs. Yeah.
yeah, last name Diggs, whatever your first name is.
I think
Sorry,
it's
but you went to
Logan.
Ole
Yeah,
Miss.
it is
Yeah.
Logan Diggs. That's what I
So,
thought.
but that kid looked like a beast when he came to LSU, and that
Mm-hmm.
was really about it. Outside of Jaden, we weren't doing much. So I think for me, Dylan Jones could challenge Harlem Berry to where they push each other so hard that Harlem not only boosts his draft stock in the future, but Dylan Jones is able to be that number
Mm-hmm.
2. It sucks for Caden because I love that Caden is dedicated to LSU. I think that had there been more traction for him in the transfer portal, he would have left.
Mm-hmm.
Had Sloan wanted him in, Joe Sloan wanted him in Kentucky, he probably would have gone there. But he better put in that work this offseason or he's going to get lost in there. Lane Kiffin's going to rotate running back, right? But Harlem Berry and I think Dylan Jones are your 1-2, period. I think that's what we end up seeing. It sucks for Caden, but I think that's what we see.
Yeah. I mean, I do still like Caden and I want to hold
I love
out
him.
on him. Like, I do want to hold out on Caden, but like, I
I hear
think
you.
you do have, like, Harlan Berry is RB1. Harlan Berry is
100%.
RB1,
No question.
100%. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have heard a lot of things about Dylan Jones. Let's see. G Moose is in the chat. Diggs was the last RB to rush for 100 yards in a game, too, in 2023. I wanted to shout out David. David got in the chat real quick.
What's
Thank
up, David?
you. What's up, David? Thank you, my friend. Always does such a great job. I was listening to Go Deep Dive. Yeah, Tuesday night, right? Y'all went live with Go Deep Dive on Tuesday night, and they always do a great job. Him and Zach Nunez and AP and Paul with Walk It Off Talk, Timeouts and Tangents with AP. Go team. You have fourth and go. Everybody's so good at what they do.
I'm trying, brother.
Yeah, so let's get into the position that I think you're going to see the most competition going into spring practice, and that's the O-line. That's the O-line. I think you have a lot here, and I don't know everything that's going to shake out. I would be willing to bet you're going to have Braylon Moore be your starting center because he's returning, and I thought he was your best O-lineman in last year in 2025. I thought he was pretty good before he got hurt halfway through the season, and then he was kind of hindered and a little bit affected with that injury. But I do think you're going to see Braylon Moore, obviously Jordan Seaton at left tackle. Like, that's what you're going to see. Jordan Seaton, what an athlete, going to be a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft in 27 and was a number 1 O-lineman in this past transfer portal. cycle. And then I think you have the 2 guard spots and the 1 right tackle spot, the tackle spot opposite Seton. That's really interesting. I'm hearing a lot about probably Aluba from Maryland getting one of the
Yeah.
guard spots because
Yeah.
of his experience. I think he started 23 straight games at Maryland in Big Ten football, has over 1,000 snaps in his college football career. So he has a lot of experience. But then you have a bunch of guys that you bring in here: Devin Harper from Ole Miss, Sean Tompkins, William Satterwhite, Darren Stry. Like all of those guys you bring in a couple of guys from the JUCO level, like Jamar Jones, Jacoby Jones, I think, as
Yeah.
well. So I think there's a lot of competition for 3 spots. I would be willing to say Aluba probably gets one of those guard spots, but I think the only surefire bets right now are Moore and Seton. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now with the O-line room. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think clearly Jordan Seaton came in to start at left tackle, no question.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no question there. I think Devin Harper is someone who will challenge for a starting spot. I think he can play guard or tackle, but I think he should play guard personally. Um, and then I would say this: I'm really excited for so Jacoby Jones and Jaquan Sprinkle both as those JUCO guys, or I know they both came from one
Yeah,
came from
Jaquan
community college,
Sprinkle
one
was the
came from.
JUCO guy, yeah.
You're good, yeah. But both of them are one of them is going to hit. I would say Stray, I think he challenges at that right tackle spot, but he can play a lot too. He's just a big, burly,
Mhm.
Iowa built, corn fed O lineman, man. Like that kid is humongous. And so if anybody is worried about their job over there at that right tackle spot, they should be, because we brought in some dogs, and I think Sean Tompkins, even out of Baylor, um,
Mhm.
he's going to challenge at guard, right? Uh, the kid from Maryland, 100%. I think he starts at a guard spot, but I think Sean Tompkins pushes really hard to take that next guard spot as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I
go ahead.
I wanna throw out a name out there who
What's up?
I think you're definitely looking at to take a big jump from year 1 as a starter to year 2, and that's
Yeah.
Weston
Sean is
Davis.
a tackle. Got
That's
it.
that's
Yeah.
that's Weston Davis. Because
Yeah.
Weston Davis, he started pretty much every game for LSU. He had like 699 snaps at right tackle for LSU, and he struggled. Weston Davis
Right.
struggled. He didn't play great. Let's be honest about that. But I think my thing, I saw it in the chat earlier. We were talking about running back earlier, and I love Frank Wilson, but the running back development, that kind of falls on him too a little bit. A little bit of pressure falls on him with the fact that we never had a good running game.
Right.
I like Brad Davis was a great recruiter. Like LSU recruited like Weston Davis 5-star, like a bunch of these other guys 5 stars. The development from Brad Davis was not where it needed to be, nearly where
Yeah.
it needed to be.
No.
Because it's not like LSU was recruiting 3 stars at O-line. They were recruiting 5 stars. They were recruiting big names out of the recruiting class. But
Yeah.
when they got to campus, the development didn't look like it was all there. And that was under Brad Davis. You bring over Eric Wolford, who is the only guy on this offensive staff who's not really coming over from Ole Miss to coach with Lane. You have Eric Wolford now, who's he coached at Kentucky. I think he coached under Nick Saban too a little bit.
Yes,
So
he
he's
did.
coached multiple years in the SEC. Guys like Weston Davis, man. Solomon Thomas is another name out there you could throw out there as well. The development is going to be key. And Weston is one you want to see a big jump from him from year
Yeah.
1 to year 2. So I think that's also another name to definitely pay attention to.
Yeah. And I think this is the thing. I think it's very clear that you had a couple position coaches get lazy. In the last 2 positions that we talked about, there was focuses on certain things, right? Certain players,
Mhm.
certain recruiting was a big focus, obviously, for Frank because of his position, not only as a running backs coach, but associate head coach, and one of the lead recruiters, especially for the New Orleans area. But as much as we have loved Frank, I will say this: we don't need him anymore. And Lane Kiffin
Mhm.
came in and showed like nobody is the only. He's not the only person that can recruit New Orleans,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, we locked down some top recruits and didn't need him there.
Mhm.
So, and apparently he was the main recruiting guy, right? Like, hate to say it,
Mhm.
but good luck, right? But I'm glad to see that Lane is building it in a way, and I think the O-line coach, like, so obviously we have Wolford, but we have um, another coach who once upon a time sued LSU that came back to also help
Mhm.
with O-line. And I think
Mhm.
that we're so focused, Lane is focused on running this team, like this program, like an NFL style of program, right? Um, so I'm extremely excited, and I'll say this too, it's unfortunate that some of the coaches left the way that they did, but I think that we're better off in this moment for what we've seen develop. Like, we had 60 players in our recruiting class.
Mhm.
That's crazy, right? Like,
Mhm.
9 offensive linemen. The depth that we have now is gonna be it's gonna be crazy. We haven't seen it in a long time. So I'm excited for
Yeah.
it.
Mhm. All right. So, general, we pretty much covered everything offensively. I also think the way Lane Kiffin kind of runs his system, also like the way you have receivers on the outside that are speedy, you can also get the ball out of the quarterback's hand a little
Oh,
bit
man.
quicker. You have a way to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quicker. So I think
Yeah.
that helps a little bit. I wanted to touch on a few of these comments. Uh Brad Davis still doesn't have a job. That tells me all I
And
need
I
to know. Uh,
yeah, I will say this, I'm surprised that Joe Sloan has a job.
yeah, Joe Sloan, who knows?
How many screens you gotta
Man,
run? Great guy. Great guy. Stop running screens.
mm, yeah, AP, Paul, Moose, people in the chat, thank you again. We appreciate it. We want to touch on, we're about 32 minutes down. I think we got a little bit of time to touch on the defense a little bit.
Just a little. Just a
Just a little
little.
bit.
Just a
Uh,
little. Uh,
So D line is, I think both lines of scrimmage are the ones you're going to see the most
Jeez.
position battles at. Both lines of scrimmage. Now, wide receiver applies to this as well because you have so many dudes at receiver. I would say both lines of scrimmage and receiver. Those are the
Yeah,
positions you're seeing. You're going to see the most competition coming in a spring practice.
right.
I Blake Baker, like, let's talk about him. This defense was horrible in 2023. Worst defense we've ever seen, maybe. That, and I would love to, like, 2020 and 2023 are like, I don't know. Like, sometimes when I say 2023 is the worst defense ever, I remember 2020 and then I like second guess myself because they were both so unbelievably horrible. Like, they were both so
Uh,
bad those 2 years that it's kind of like the comparison. Okay, which one was actually worse?
yeah.
Because those were both really
Jesus,
bad.
man. They were horrible.
But you have 2023. I said this on my show the other day. I think one of the worst moves Brian Kelly made when he got here was letting Corey Raymond walk out the door. Like
Oh,
Corey
100%.
Raymond leaving, like that's the architect of DBU. DBU, like that's Corey Raymond. Corey Raymond is a big part of that. And then
Right.
you fix that mistake. And look, within 2 years of getting Blake Baker, Corey Raymond to come back here, you go from one of the worst defenses we've ever seen at this program in 2023 to a top 30 unit, a really good unit in 2025. Like the
Yeah.
defense was really, really good in 2025 with
Yeah.
what they were able to do. I do think that you could see a little bit better play from the D line, like from the front four, because your defense was good. Like your secondary was good, your linebacker was good, and your D line wasn't bad. But if we're talking about sending pressure with four, you didn't really do that a lot. When you got pressure, you sent more than four.
Yeah.
This year, I'm excited with the guys you bring in. You bring in Prince William Monmielen off the edge, who was Ole Miss's sack leader last year, was top 8 in the SEC in sacks, had 9 sacks last year in a breakout season at Ole Miss. He comes over. Gabe Relaford is coming back, who a lot of people were kind of talking a lot about Gabe Relaford going into 2025. Of course, unfortunately, he gets hurt, and like that sucked, obviously. And then you have Unman Mielen is going to be a starter on the edge, and then you have between Relaford and you bring over Jordan Ross from Tennessee. You bring over Jordan Ross from Tennessee, who was a former 5-star, really highly touted out of high school. Played a little bit in 2 years at Tennessee. Maybe didn't have the breakout season that he wanted, but he was
Yeah.
he's got skills. He's got the frame and the build to be a really good pass rusher in the SEC. So you have that. You have a D tackle, Don McKinley, a guy who I would like to see a lot of development from
Yeah, that man
a
needs a
little
lot.
bit. What'd you say?
I said he has a lot he
Yeah.
just has to get some push, man. Like, he has to get in the
Mhm.
weight room.
Yeah. Don McKinley, I would definitely agree with that. Then you brought in some guys like Steph Green from Clemson. You brought in Malik Blockton from Auburn at D tackle. And then let me remind you, one of the best defensive line freshman classes, that one of the best ones you've
Ever,
ever brought in. You bring in
ever.
Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson and Trenton Henderson and Deuce Gerald's. Like, I'm really interested to see how much those guys, like Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, how much do they play in 2026? How much do they play in 2026? I think you have a lot on this D line, and I'm looking forward to, again, your defense was good in 2025. The D line was the only part that I think could be better, and I think
Right.
it will be better in 2026. Bring guys like Uman Miel and then all the transfers over, and then you have a heck of a freshman class on the D line. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think, somebody I don't know. Our interior defensive line was rough, right? Like, we had a fifth-year senior who got more push than most of our young guys, right? I think that early on in the early games, you saw us have a lot of success off the edge because of, Gabe, who was able to get there or help get there, right? And AP, I agree with you, and I'll say this: I 100% agree. Dom has to get his pad level lower, because I think if he had a lower pad level and a better technique this season, he is able to get home more often. But I will say this as well. I've said it like 6 times already. The depth that we have because of the way that they recruited this defensive and offensive line is slim to none, right? Like, I haven't seen depth like this in a while. So, bring in Lamar Brown, bringing in Richard Anderson, Deuce Gerald's. I mean, that dude is built like a Mack truck. Like, that kid is ready to freaking just roll, right? Um, and they're going to push these guys, these transfer portal guys. They're going to push for playing time. I think that we all think that Richard Anderson and Lamar Brown are going to play, and I agree. But I will say, don't sleep on Deuce Gerald's, right? Like, being a kid that was born in Georgia, grew up at LSU fan because my whole family's from Louisiana, right? Like, Deuce is from my backyard. That kid is a beast, right? He leads in almost every. I'm pretty sure he leads in sacks in the state of Georgia all time now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so
Mm-hmm.
that's one I'm really excited to see. Uh, I think it's funny that you referenced Corey Raymond leaving as well, because the coach that replaced him, I think, is now the DB coach at Wisconsin, which is crazy. Off the streets from my high school to DB coach at LSU is a crazy thought process. So that's one that I'll never let Brian Kelly live down. But I
It's just
think
like
that,
how could you just so
man,
blatantly just like get rid of Cord Raymond and like not think like he is such an integral part of the fabric of DBU of the
yeah,
LSU defense. Like the fact that you just you could say let him walk. I think AP is using a few stronger terms in the chat than just let him walk. But like
Uh,
that was one of the biggest like boo-boos for Brian Kelly when he got here.
dude,
And
I was like,
it was crazy, man.
I was
Um,
so pissed when we found out he was going to Florida. That made it even worse. Like, the fact that we fired him, and then let him go to Florida. what? Right? And then he goes on to beat us in recruiting a couple times at Florida for teams that we wanted, and then still ends up back in
And
Baton Rouge.
look at how your secondary played in 2023, just 2 years after you left. 2
Yeah.
years after you left. Look at how they were. Like, I'm just saying, dude, that was my number one big mistake is
Yeah.
letting Corey walk, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. They made
And
sure
thank
and yeah.
yeah, thank
Lane
God that didn't happen. Uh
Lane and Blake made sure it was a point to keep him.
Sad part is we didn't want the kids he was recruiting. Uh, the recruiting plan was trash. Yeah,
Damn, AP.
like, like stuff like that. Like, yeah, I am really high on this secondary entering this
Same.
season. Like, I'm really high on the
Same.
secondary.
Yeah.
I love PJ Woodland and DJ Pickett. Like, I'm excited to see them as the 1-2 at the DB position. I think DJ Pickett had, he was like the national defensive freshman of the year, according to On3, I think in 2025, and he played like it. I think you saw a lot of development and a lot of growth from game to game from PJ Woodland, and I'm really excited to see him in 2026 as well. And then at the safety position, I'm like the safety spot I'm really excited about.
Dude, we're
Because
set.
I think you have 4 guys who can play. I think you have 4 who can play at safety. Obviously, Tamarcus Cooley, who led your defense, was had the most snaps in 2025 of any player on the defense. Deshaun Spears really excelled. Think about the Florida game. Think about when Deshaun Spears was in. He obviously sat behind Halsey and Cooley in 2025, but when Deshaun Spears played, he balled out. And then the transfers you brought in, I really like Ty Benefield. I like, over 230 tackles in his time at Boise State, was an all first team, all Mountain West Conference safety in 2025. I like Benefield. And then Fahim Delane, man, he's a physical guy, physical at the point of attack. He's got ability as well. I think your top 2 are obviously Cooley and Spears, and then Benefield is going to play maybe at star or something like that. But I do like Fahim Delane as well. I like his potential, the younger brother of Mansour Delane. So I really like what you have at the secondary, but especially I really feel good about what you have, the depth that you have specifically at safety.
Yeah, and Fahim Delane is going to push Tamarcus harder than I think he probably was pushed anywhere he's been. That kid was backing up Caleb Downs, and there was nobody else there. Period. Right? His brother is a dog. His brother should have played corner the whole time. I think personally, he played some safety at Virginia Tech. And then that star position, what we didn't have, we had a lot with Harold Perkins, right? I love Harold Perkins. I love him to death, right? He will go down as a dog forever in LSU history, right? But having Ty Benefield to play the star position, that boy had, man, when I tell you he's going to come down with some violence, he's ready to hit somebody and knock them out.
Yeah, I do like Delane. I like him. Like I said, I think you got 4 dudes who are going to contribute for you at safety in 2026. I think you got 4. You have a deep safety room there who I'm really, really excited about. Last position we can touch on is linebacker. I didn't think we would get through everything tonight, but last position we can touch on is linebacker. Linebacker, look, I think obviously having Whit Weeks come back is a big deal. He was a beast for you in 2024. Unfortunately, an injury in late 2025 cut his season short, but he was like a tackle machine, he was awesome in 2024 for you. He's your team captain. He's your plays with his hair on fire, so much heart. Then you bring in TJ Daugherty, who was key for Ole Miss at linebacker, was the green dot, the top Mike linebacker at Ole Miss, and he was the green dot at Ole Miss, and he led the SEC in tackles in 2025. And then who was second in tackles in the SEC in 2025, and that was Devon Keys. So at linebacker position, with those three guys, you have guys who in their past seasons have racked up a ton of tackles and contributed a ton to their past programs. So you got three guys at linebacker as well who look really good.
Yeah.
Also, and then you have some young guys behind them as well, but mainly the top three are Weeks, Daughtery, and Keys at linebacker.
So let me ask you this, because I think Devon Keys has the vision, right? Like, he can see the runs coming. He fills holes extremely well. Do you think my concern with him is the passing game, right? Not to highlight
Who-
his opportunities, but Devon Keys.
Devon
Um,
Keys.
so like, who's next up? Is it Charles Ross, you think?
Yeah, I
After
mean,
that, maybe?
yeah, maybe. I mean, there's also guys like Singleton is still there, right? So you
Yeah,
have
Singleton's still there.
Singleton there. You have other guys. You have young guys. You do have young
Yeah,
guys
Keelan
behind those
Moses.
top three.
Yeah,
Keelan Moses, like you have all of those guys behind them as well who
yeah,
can contribute. But I mean, Devon Keys he was second in tackles in 2025. So
yeah,
Jim Corley,
yeah,
AP said in the chat. So you have some
yeah,
depth, some younger guys who have something to prove,
yeah,
obviously at linebacker, but you do have some depth there. Um, but yeah, man, I'm really excited with this roster. Like
yeah, same.
defense, obviously getting Blake Baker back, getting Corey Raymond back. You bring Sterling Lucas, Kevin Peoples is back, and then offensively, like we know Lane Kiffin bringing over most of his offensive staff from Ole Miss, bringing over Charlie Weiss Jr. Like Charlie Weiss, obviously one of the brightest young offensive minds in the game today. Obviously, there's buy-in here. Like there's a ton of buy-in here. I think it's super impressive how like what Philly and New York both went after Charlie Weiss Jr. and he turned it down. Like he said, I'm staying with Lane. Jake Olson, the report a few weeks ago that he was going to go to Washington. Like these guys between Weiss and Olson are turning down jobs in the league to play, like to coach with Lane Kiffin. Like there's a ton of buy-in here from the fan base, from the coaching staff, and yeah, it's just it's really good, man. Like there's a ton of buy-in here. The fan base, there's going to be so much hype surrounding this program in the months to come. I think again, your top three positions that you'll see the most competition in going into spring practice are both
Yeah,
lines of scrimmage, D line, O line, and then you have a ton of weapons at receiver, and you need to
yeah,
figure that
100%.
out. But the future looks bright, my friend. Kind of as we're wrapping up this, what are
Yeah.
kind of some more thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, so I think at one point we all were tripping when we kept on bringing wide receivers in the transfer portal, right? Like, we were pissed because we weren't bringing enough O-line. We didn't have a quarterback yet. We ended up with two top 10 quarterbacks in the transfer portal, 2 top 10 players, matter of fact, in the transfer portal. Technically 3, right? One of them being an O-lineman. So, I think for us, like, I don't care what people say. The expectations for me personally are through the roof, right? Like, I am 100% tweeting tonight. Like, I want to see a national title hanging up in 2027 from these LSU Tigers. I think that there's a reason why you see the program built the way that it is. We've never seen it this way, right? With the amount of analysts we're allowed to have, with the amount of coaches that aren't officially in coaching roles that we're allowed to have, like, it's crazy. If you're looking at the comments, they're cracking me up,
You
man.
guys are cracking me up
They're
in the
cracking me
comments,
up,
bro.
bro.
I
Like,
can't
it's
focus
crazy.
on the show
I,
because
I'm trying to look.
AP,
I'm trying
G
to
Moose, and
respond, but
Paul in the comments, and
bro,
David.
listen. I just this is like, I've done a couple shows recently, right? Um, but like, the opportunity to get on the show with you tonight and with all of the guys in here supporting is exactly what, like, Paul and AP and David and all of us are talking about when we talk about community, and
Mhm.
how important it is for us to, like, connect. So really, for me, I haven't been this excited for I haven't turned off LSU games in a long time. And this season, there's a couple moments where like I had to sit in the corner of my sofa and consider turning that TV off, and I did. But you know what I always did as a real LSU fan? I turned it right back on and suffered through it. And that's the crappy
Mhm.
part about it. David, we are not talking about baseball tonight. Stop trying to get us to get there. That's not what we're doing. Today is
David, 5 p.m. tomorrow. 5 p.m.
yeah.
tomorrow. I will
Like
have
I told AP
my
last night in
pregame and
y'all's
my
show,
weekend preview.
man, and like I told AP last night in y'all's show, you can wake up and you can talk about Lane Kiffin today, and we can tweet about Lane Kiffin today. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, college baseball and LSU exists tomorrow when we're
Mhm.
watching Babin on the Bayou. So
Thank you.
you're welcome, brother. You're welcome. It's just there's so much to be excited about. Honestly,
Mhm.
I haven't been this excited for our football team in a long time. Um, and just to see the way that Lane takes every moment of this so seriously. He's supporting the girls' teams. He's going to games. I mean, he was at freaking gymnastics meets, right? Like the dude is everywhere. Um, and I'm excited to see what he does. And keep coming for Blake Baker and keep coming for Charlie Weiss because Lane's going to have a plan when that does happen. But they wanted to stay at LSU instead of coming to any of y'all,
I
and that
got
includes the NFL.
I gotta
Go ahead,
point something out. This right here is
Babin.
my dad
We
in the
love all the football
comments.
talk.
Okay.
Damn.
This is my dad in the comments. This is what has been happening around the Babin household for the past 3
Man.
days. Controversy. What's going on? What's going on? Why are they losing? Why they lose back-to-back non-conference games? It's early in the season, Dad. I've told you before. Trust Jay Johnson. They're gonna figure it out. I am concerned. You do need vocal leaders on this team to step up. But this has been a little bit of the
Oh,
Babin
man.
household in the past 3 days. We have been panicking over here, like a little bit justified, but a little bit too much. We gotta trust Jay a little bit here. Dad
And
knows I
David, you
love
better
him to
check
death, and I'm
somebody
playing with
tomorrow.
him.
Yeah. No, listen, David, when you're on the field tomorrow, you better check somebody. Okay. I want you to push past the barriers of what that pass allows you to do when you're on the field and get some conversations in. See who's taking accountability. Damn it. Like, come on, man. These young
Yeah.
fellas, somebody got to speak up.
No, yeah, I'm gonna talk about that tomorrow. The game last night was very, very frustrating, and
Paul,
yeah,
you got
let's
to
not
chill,
get
man.
into that tonight.
Hey,
Let's not get
hey,
into that tonight.
put Pa- put Paul's comment up. He called you daddy. Oh, he's not talking about you. He's talking about your dad. Never mind, Paul. Let me chill.
You
I thought
gotta
you were
check
talking
out
about
Joe. That man ain't on
Con-
Twitter. That man
hey,
ain't on Twitter. He
context,
doesn't.
pause,
He
Paul.
doesn't. He doesn't
Context.
get on social media, Paul. He does not get on social media, Paul. He does
That's
not get
right,
on
David.
social media, Paul. That man is. He probably doesn't even know it changed to X. He probably still thinks it's Twitter.
I ain't gonna lie, I still call it Twitter sometimes, man.
I know I do too.
Yeah,
But yeah,
brother.
thank y'all so much for being in the comments tonight. I had so much fun. Had fun having you on the show, Austin. I really had a lot of fun talking football with you, brother. I really appreciate all of you folks, and I appreciate you, Austin. Tell the fine folks where they can find you.
Yeah, so for me, I am active on most social media except for Instagram, right? So TikTok, it's at Fourth and Go Pod because the Fourth and Go name is taken on TikTok. I found, so I had to add POD at the end of that. And my personal account, so at Auston Taylor, and then at Fourth and Go on X. So come check us out. Please go follow Babin on the Bayou, my boy Justin, and continue to support him too. Because when I tell you this dude is out there, I'm watching his show. He's breaking down baseball games. When I talk about gaining knowledge from Paul and David, and I add Justin to that list too. And I want to say I appreciate you for all the insight that you give us, that you stay consistent, that you're on all the time. And I love just being able to see you talk, listen to you speak about the game, especially when I miss the games almost every day. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on with you.
Yeah, of course. Tomorrow, little show update tomorrow again, live at 5 p.m. Game tomorrow is at 6:30. LSU baseball taking on Sacramento State. We'll talk a little bit of pregame. I'll probably lead the show off tomorrow with some of my thoughts on what this team needs to work on. We'll talk baseball tomorrow, 5 p.m. on YouTube and X. We'll have LSU baseball pregame / weekend as a whole preview, playing Sacramento State. But again, I thank all of you folks for tuning in to the show tonight. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, Austin, for
Yes, sir.
joining the show. Really appreciate it, man. And y'all go follow Auston, Fourth and Go podcast. Follow him. He's does great work, and I really appreciate you, man. Thank you, folks, as always, for tuning into the show. Hope you folks have a great, great evening. Thank you, as always. Remember, as always, God bless, go
God bless.
Tigers,
Go
and have a
Tigers.
great one.